I had a question regarding if you guys have done any
Closer.
DIY console restoration. Recently, I tried to make my own Retrobrite, and it didn't go so well. I tried to get rid of the yellow on my SNES.
With the meringue.
Oh,
Yeah.
I used like really concentrated hydrogen peroxide, and OxyClean. And,
Yep, that's what you're supposed to use, right?
And there's one other, like the...
So what happened? You blew up your apartment? What happened?
I don't know if it just got the mixture
not correct.
right, but it came out really like washy. It wasn't clean. It was.
You mean the color it was washy?
Really like,
I've never tried it. The question is about Retrobrite, which is a way to lighten like an old Commodore, yellow Commodore,
What you're doing is you're reversing the chemical reaction that causes it to yellow.
Yes.
I have a buddy who did Retrobrite on all of his consoles, and it turned out beautifully. He had a yellowing PC Engine CD, and I mean it's bright white now. So, I mean I've never done it, and I mean I know the recipe for Retrobrite is it's not something I want to mess around with, but I know it works. It could just have been the mix you used, but I've never done it personally.
Does it work on every plastic or only certain ones though? I mean,
it's supposed to work on Super. I mean, at least everyone uses it for Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Like I said, he did it on PC Engine. Anything that discolors because of the flame retardant chemicals should, in theory, go back to white.
And it's from ultraviolet rays, right?
Yeah, you have to. That's what actually I was going to ask. The
Ultraviolet
big
rays.
thing is you have to coat it and then you put it in.
I set it out in the sun pretty much for the entire day and slipped it.
They say sometimes if you're doing doing it with sunlight, you might need 48 hours.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
I'm too lazy to try. That's my answer. I'm too lazy to. I can't even solder. Yeah. Solder? Is that how you spell it?
Solder.
Solder.
What was the first console you ever bought with your own money?
I can answer that easy. It was no, I can't. It was either a Game Boy. It was either a Game Boy or a Sega Genesis. My brother and I, when we were growing up, we lived in an apartment, and the landlord was very cool, and we raked leaves in the fall, and he gave us enough money, and it was 2 years in a row. I can't remember which came first, but 1 year was a Game Boy, and the other year was the Genesis, and it was entirely with our own cash.
I was gonna say Super Nintendo. You guys know the story of that for the most part, but it was actually earlier in the year. The Master System 2 was my own money. I think it was my allowance at Katy City, which that segment still has to come out from the podcast last time, where we just have a 10-minute makeout session with Katy City. So I think it was only like I want to say like $75. The Master System 2, because I mean at that point it was cheap. So I think that's what my first one was. Hello.
Hi. Do either of you collect reproduction games and reproduction cartridges? And if so, which one would you say is like a must-have aside from Mr. Gimmick?
I don't collect them. I enjoy playing like a Mr. Gimmick is something that'd be worth it to me because I love the game. But in terms of to say you collect repros is sort of like a strange sort of term to me.
But it is something people do.
I understand, but to me it's just sort of I'm in the realm of the games that existed during that time. That's the way I sort of look at it. So I sort of stay away from that. But I don't know.
I have a friend who makes repros for as a hobby, and I have a couple. But same as him, I wouldn't say I collect them. But for my birthday, he usually makes me a repro. So this year, he made me. If you've ever played Snoopy's Silly Sports Spectacular for the NES, in Japan, it had a different license. It had a Disney license, so it was Donald Duck. Mm-hmm. So he made me a repro of that. And the year before, he did me an actual cartridge of a My Little Pony Mega Man 3 ROM hack.
Not surprised. I think what it comes down to is that do you care as much as a collector to have a cartridge for basically a ROM that you can just download or put on a flash drive? Like if you just care about playing the game, you don't need to spend the extra money on a cartridge. Like may or may not be cannibalized, which bothers me a little bit, versus just downloading the ROM and playing it.
I think it's different depending on the game. I think for something like Mr. Gimmick, it's cool to have the repro, but something like Pirate's Booty, which is the Pan-Asian porn games, just download the ROM.
and have a ball.
Yeah, Flash. Yeah, they're a great
Have
time.
a great time
They are amazing.
playing slot machines in hopes of seeing
With
skin.
save states, just so
Save
you can
states.
see a pixel move.
I'm not saying if I did that in college or not.
I did. I'll say it. I did it.
Hello.
Hey, with the Wii U continuing to fade and fade and fade, and all the talk of the NX6, am I crazy to worry about Zelda Wii U like going the way of like Star Fox 2?
I think so. I don't think it'll go the way of Star Fox 2. I think you'll see it.
I think I see a dual.
I think you'll see it. I think they could do a dual release, yeah, exactly, just like they did Twilight Princess, or you'll see it pushed to the next system. At this point, though, as much as I do love the Wii U, I am fairly convinced we're not going to see Zelda Wii U on the Wii U. But I think they're far enough along. I think it's a good enough idea. They obviously put a lot of time in the concept and the art, that I think it'll easily just get pushed to the next platform.
I will be more optimistic in saying since every Nintendo, well, they did have Hyrule Warriors, but that's not a real Zelda game. I would hold out hope that every NES console gets a Legend of Zelda game.
Every NES console? A
Nintendo
chicken in every
console.
pot?
I'm tired, Ian. I'm very tired. I was preparing my new NES Punk video for my panel tomorrow. What? Oh.
Wait, what?
I know, I'm still doing them. So, so I think it's going to come out. I think we'll see a dual release. I'm still going to be shocked if I thought it'd be 2017. You said as well for the NX.
I said late 2016.
Oh yeah, that'd be the very.
And I
very
think
first
that's
one.
what they're actually shooting for
But
based
to-
on current info.
But to announce it at E3 next year potentially, or show it off there, only giving you like 4 months in between versus starting to ship it. That's like not a big lead time for the publicity and hype. That's a whole other conversation though for another podcast.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I was wondering if there had ever been any game or console that you had regretted purchasing because it was maybe too expensive, or you overpaid, or it was just terrible, like terrible experience afterwards.
I spoke about Three Stooges in the past. I mean, I like the game. It's a 3-star game according to a certain book that's going to be published. But the fact of the matter was, when you're smaller and when you only get like a $2 a week allowance, it's a lot of money to spend like $55 plus tax at an electronic boutique at Woodbridge Center in New Jersey. So it's like your whole life is flushed away when you have no money when you're like 10 years old.
And you buy a shit game.
It's a 3-star game. It's better than average. I think so. So it was just a feeling of emptiness. I always, after that point, I played it at night, late at night, and I still remember that feeling of being gutted. So after that, whenever I got a new game, I always played it like after school during the day. Being at night was almost, playing a new game at night always depressed me. And I was like, wow, I gotta mow the lawn and take out garbage for another 8 months to get another game. So it was just sort of, because I didn't get a lot of games as a kid. I got them birthday, Christmas.
Why nighttime, though? I mean, why?
Because my parents took me to the electronic boutique in Woodbridge Center, New Jersey. In Woodbridge. They took me at like 7:30 at night. My dad had to work.
I'm just saying, why did playing games at night from that point on make you sad?
It was just sort of a paranoia of repeating that feeling
Oh,
of
okay,
disappointment
sure.
with Three Stooges.
Fair enough. I got you.
You want to have a childhood psychology discussion?
Well,
I'll
I
do
mean,
it.
no, I didn't really need to go any further than that. I was just curious.
we have all the time in the world. We don't have only 15 minutes left, but let's give me a chance to answer that.
Eh.
Hey, Pat.
Hey,
Since I guess you kind of already said that you were going to keep doing Pat the NES Punk videos, or am I wrong?
there's one coming out, so they're still going on.
Okay, one of the questions I was gonna ask is if you were gonna keep on doing them for a while, or I guess another question I could ask was what was your most favorite episode that you've ever done of Pat the NES Punk?
All right, this is a pack question.
Anticipation.
That was
Game counts.
anticipation. You bitching the whole time while filming it was great, but no, it wasn't the favorite one.
I don't like acting.
I still think one of the finest moments ever in any of my videos was when Frank coached me at track and field.
I knew that was what you were gonna say. That's your Criterion Collection episode.
What's that?
That's your Criterion Collection episode.
Collection episode?
Criterion Collection.
Oh, Criterion Edition, if I did one. No. Yeah, I think that sort of encapsulated the series of being really goofy, but still having some reverence to the system and track and field. I don't know, I just liked it. I just thought it was fun. You guys see that video?
I remember it being really hot, and we were outside on a track.
Except I was in a silver sweatsuit.
It was really hot.
And not a sweatsuit like the material. You're literally supposed to sweat in the suit, the silver suit. So the girl I was dating at the time, we weren't really far into the relationship, But when I get up on a Sunday morning, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put on this like silver like heat-inducing suit at 90 degrees. I'm gonna go film and I'll be seeing in a couple hours. She's just like, okay. It's just like, all right. And I come back and probably could have passed out. Really, we did a lot of running, but that was my favorite thing.
Brutal. Thanks, man.
Right. He's not dying yet. Someday he will. Someday he'll retire and just have a really bad breakdown and just sell off all his games. And then there'll be no more NES Punk videos. Hey.
Are you worried that the Wii U will fade into obscurity like the Sega Dreamcast?
I don't think the Dreamcast has faded into obscurity.
Dreamcast is beloved.
Yeah, I mean,
Loved by a certain.
Those certain Sega people. I know you're going to say those Sega people. You should have seen our Sega people.
I mean, I think the Dreamcast cemented its place in video game history, and I think the Wii U will too.
You can't slam the door on the Wii U because there'll still be games made for probably a few years. Maybe not to the same strength, but I think look what happened with the GameCube.
Yeah, I mean, everyone figured that one was going to slide away, and now it's, I mean, at least from where I sit in a store, I can't keep GameCubes in stock, and I can't keep GameCube games on the shelf.
And that'll
They
probably
sell
be
super well.
And that's probably going to be the analogy to the Wii U, is the GameCube.
Right.
Most likely. You're going to have those first-party games that were all big gangbusters.
Yeah.
You're going to have like the handful of third-party ones people like, and then the other ones no one cares about, but
Yeah, but you don't. When you have games like Splatoon, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 8, and then stuff like Bayonetta 2, Wonderful 101, you have a small library, but you have a really good one.
Yeah. Fear not, Pikachu. Fear not.
So, Pat, it's great to see you again.
I
4
have
years
history
in a
with this
row.
kid. Go back and watch my first ever Retro Gaming Expo panel, 2011. You were this big, and you gave me shit back then. Every year you gave me shit.
No, I have a genuine question. So, since you seem like such an avid Vita lover, do you think that Sony will make another PlayStation handheld?
Sony actually said that they're not going to.
They didn't say that. They said the climate was unhealthy.
You see why I don't like this kid?
Yeah. They're not going to make another handheld.
I think, well, Sony, you can even learn that your failures, you shouldn't repeat them, I think. And they can't.
They did it twice.
Then why is
Maybe not a
Nintendo
third
making
time.
another console?
So, what's that?
I said, then why is Nintendo making another console?
Because Nintendo has a shitload of money.
But-
And they can.
Yeah.
Sony's losing billions of dollars. They're bleeding money. So it's like, even they're smart enough to realize that they don't make computers anymore, Sony. You realize they say they make a lot of computers? Like, they don't sell TVs anymore. They market them, but no one buys them because they're expensive. And you can buy an LCD TV for like $300 instead of like $1,000. So like Sony, the way Sony's making money is coming thinner and thinner, unfortunately. So that's the danger. So they're going to be very careful what they're doing.
Yeah, they can't put the R&D into it and risk the money. The PSP was
They're kickstarting ideas.
Yeah, internally. I mean, the PSP was a moderate success. The Vita, as much as I like it, it wasn't a success really at all. Nintendo is a video game company first and foremost. They can take risks. They can lose money. Nintendo can lose money until like 2050 and still be in business.
Yes.
Sony can't because they spread themselves out. They're not just video games. They're consumer electronics across the board. Their shareholders are expecting something completely different than what Nintendo shareholders are expecting. And I don't think they would be happy at all if Sony decided that they were making another handheld console.
You'd love it, but you'd put them out of business. So.
Well, thanks.
All right, get out of here. Hey, how you doing?
Tough act to follow. Thanks for the punk. I'm concerned about you talking about one day him not being around.
You want to see a 6-year-old Pat the NES Punk video?
No.
I was going to say, we haven't seen him travel through time. He hasn't been to Germany. We haven't met his evil twin. There's a lot of ideas out there, I think, left for you. We love hearing about Ian's day job. What I'd like to ask you is, can you tell us about your worst moment at a day job? Let's remind you of what else you could be doing instead of the punk. Or just a really bad one. Doesn't have to be the worst of all time.
I worked at Suncoast Motion Picture Company. Besides being sexually harassed at the ripe age of 19 by a 16-year-old.
What was his name?
I don't see why.
I'm sorry.
But besides the fact also that she was the daughter of my 4th grade teacher. Anyway, so it was
No,
bad
keep going, keep
because
going.
it was. I don't like this guy either.
I'm
But-
getting away pretty clean here.
I was making $5.05 an hour minimum wage, or $5.15, whatever it was, and all I was doing was watching a store with VHS tapes, some DVDs because they were new, and when you work at a store getting paid minimum wage, you should be able to coast and do nothing. Instead, I was told to go reorganize the sci-fi VHS section. When I'd done that the day before, so they'd play a trick on you and take 2 tapes out, just to make sure you did it again. And they'd yell at you if you didn't. For $5.05 an hour at a mall VHS store. So that was horrific. Besides, being sexually harassed by a 16-year-old daughter.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
Other than the NWC card, what's the best part of your collection?
The best part of waking up is M82 in my cup. M82's up there. I have a soft spot for the Magical Chase. Because it's just the feeling of Christmas with that game, because I put it in the video and I bought it around Christmas. What would you say is the best game in my collection, Ian?
In your collection?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't care. He hates me.
I have no idea what the best thing in your collection is.
We got to move on. We got to do quicker, but yeah, M82. Is that fair?
That's fair. I think
That's
it's
fair.
your neatest thing.
It's my neatest thing.
It's Nito Keen.
Okay, possibly bringing back some more repressed memories here, but do you guys have like any weird stories about borrowing games from someone back in the day, or having someone borrow your games?
I lost my first copy of Rampage to some neighborhood asshole. I never got it back. And I wanted to play like a baseball game in return, and I think that's how I got Bases Loaded 2. Neither of those games were great, but I do remember being upset as a kid that that guy never gave it back to me before.
Did you confront him?
It was just, he was
Was
like,
he a bully?
No, he was just some shitty little kid.
Want me to beat him up? Let's find him. What a bubble. Let's find that little punk.
His name was Justin. I don't remember his last name.
You get his last name. This is the age of internet shaming. We're going to shame him on Twitter. He's going to get back that Rampage cartridge. I have no story. I was careful with my games. I didn't trust kids. After I got my baseball card stolen in the back of the bus when I was like in first grade and was crying about it for 2 weeks, after that, I never trusted anything.
So you're prior to?
Yeah, when I was in first grade, yes. Yes, sir.
What's your favorite game of all time?
We don't like favorite questions.
But yeah, this is one I can answer easily. It's DuckTales. It's always been DuckTales. It'll never not be DuckTales.
That's my answer. It's so hard. I have favorites by genre. If you specified a genre, it would be easier.
What's your favorite genre?
When does this turn into bothered Pat panel? Next, please.
What was your first Atari game you ever played?
First Atari game I ever played. My cousins wouldn't let me play their Atari 2600. They claimed I broke their joystick when I was 3. I think they just were selfish and they don't want me playing there. But I remember them playing Adventure a lot. Spider-Man and Pitfall were the 3 games I remember playing a lot, like in the mid '80s. Before they had, I got an NES before they did. Little snot-nosed little.
Mine was my grandfather taught me how to play Pac-Man on the 5200, which is a good way to get frustrated because Pac-Man's a maze game and that joystick doesn't fucking center.
I'm surprised you're here.
That's
I'm surprised you're still here.
impossible. Yeah.
It was like starting you off by running by tying your shoes and teaching you to run. So here you go, kid.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm from Canada, and
Canada's lovely.
My friend
Canada
asked
fans?
me to pick him up a Virtual Boy, and I've literally
And drop
never
it?
seen one in my whole life. And I find one, and people are giving me dirty looks like I'm an idiot for buying it. But is there any playable games for it that I should pick up for him? I got tennis.
Tennis is, I actually think a lot of the games are playable. They're just hard to look at for a long time.
You get a headache after 10 minutes. The Mario Clash is supposed to be pretty good.
Wario?
Wario's supposed to be pretty good.
I like Red Alarm.
I have not played the Japanese Bomberman game. Is that good?
I haven't played that.
There's a
either.
3D Tetris. Is that good? There's like
No.
5 Japanese games that didn't come out here. But then we're really at that point. You might as well just chuck it in the dumpster.
Right on. Thanks a lot.
But it's for your friend, though.
Yeah.
That's a well-dressed guy.
Thank you.
Make me feel like an asshole.
Dapper.
My question is
I'm dressed
actually
like this.
on the concept of retro gaming. Do you feel like it's a static category, given those original consoles, or as we all get tragically older, does retro just move up along with the age of the consoles?
We've talked about this in the podcast. We have differing opinions on this.
Retro moves up as time goes on.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but he does.
So eventually does like the original Nintendo become ancient gaming while something else becomes...
No, because this is why I feel that it doesn't move up. Because you always have a retro feel of a game, and that retro feel of a game will not be how an Xbox game looks 20 years from now. They're not going to be targeting games that look like Xbox games. They'll be targeting games that look like Super Nintendo and Nintendo and Genesis. That's why I think retro gaming stops at like the Dreamcast. That's why I think it's like that.
I see both sides, but that's why I wanted to ask.
Well, that's why that's why we have I don't like him, but he's good for the podcast. We have differing opinions.
Fucking blow me.
See? It's good for the podcast.
Okay. So, hello.
Hello, Flash. You gotta be quick, Flash.
Okay. So, you know your episode where you were playing Russian Attack and Rob was turning against you.
Mm-hmm.
What other character would you think would turn against you?
This happens every day.
Nintendo.
Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo. Nintendo character turning against me.
Besides Rob.
Princess Tomato. Danny Sullivan.
Oh, Danny.
In a special episode, he turns against me. He comes to life out of TV and starts strangling me.
Pops out of your t-shirt.
Yeah. He hates me and Ian for raising the price artificially. Of the game. I don't know. I'm sorry, kid. That's all I got. Sorry, I couldn't do better. Mr. Gimmick attacks me in a sequel episode.
But he misses like 5 times because that star is unwieldy.
2 more questions.
Hey, Pat, I just want to ask a quick question. With all the fame and fortune you're getting from being...
Yes.
What do your friends and family think about it, and has there ever been anyone close to you that's actually doubted you and tried to talk you into, not doing it? And go Mets.
Let's go Mets go. This is going to get into really dark territory. My parents really never supported me in anything I wanted to do, let alone this. So whenever I said, I quit my job 3 years at my day job because it was killing me. And no one really said, because I wasn't making money even to live 3 years ago. I was like, you know what I mean? It was just like a totally hobby. And so it was like doubtful what I could do. So it was just really, well, let me see what I can do. Let's see what I can do a year or 2 from now before my savings are gone. I got to sell my M82 and then, throw myself into the river. That's basically what it was.
The M82 is the one thing you're keeping.
The M82 is going to be strapped to myself when I throw myself in the river.
There you go.
That's what
With you to the end.
With you to the end. So, did I answer the question? I'm sort of like in this weird state of mind. I had like 4 hours sleep the past 2 nights, so.
Well, close enough.
Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets.
Go Mets.
Who's that Cubs fan?
Throw some dum-dums at him.
Hey, Pat, I heard what you said about HP, so I was sad.
They contacted me last week.
And you have an HP Jet Direct 4360?
No, they sent me a free printer cartridge. So they specially called me up. HP got word. If you didn't know, I had a big falling out with HP over their shitty DRM ink cartridges.
Well aware.
They called me. They got word of the podcast segment. I didn't think I told you this. They called me. One was very nice, and it's not like a big deal. Like, oh, we know, we understand. This is like, she was like, not just the customer service, the special customer service, like one below the president, I guess, of customer service. So I was like, I told the story. I said, hey, DRM on ink is kind of shitty. It doesn't make any sense. I know you may have to make money, but it sucks. So I'm thinking, they're gonna send me a new printer. This is gonna be great. We can send you one color ink cartridge and one black and white one. We can have that to you in a couple days. And I'm like,
yeah.
Fuck you. I didn't say that, but after all the pain and suffering, I got nice shiny FedEx ink cartridges. They're gonna see this clip and send me a couple more ink cartridges.
That's like finding a rat in your fast food and getting a coupon for a free small fry.
Long analogy, but it works.